Good afternoon, everybody. It is now 1:30. We'll be able to start the webinar on Simple Notice. My name is Mathilde. I work for Centris as a tool and training specialist. So I will be the one giving out the webinar today. So we will talk about Simple Notice today. It's a new tool that we created. It got out in last November. So you'll see it's pretty easy to use, it's pretty fun to use, and it will save you a lot of time and hassle. So we will go through a presentation on Simple Notice. Then I'm going to show you how to access the tool, the resources you have on the tool, and then we'll do a demonstration so you guys can see the process and how it works. So we can start. So what is Simple Notice? Well, it's a tool that allows you to quickly and easily send notices of fulfillment of conditions in order to inform the buyers and the sellers that the conditions have been fulfilled. You can send the notices by email and text message. We will see that emails are mandatory and text messages are optional, because we'll see that the notices are sent via email. So it's necessary to have an email address, a valid email address. So before I continue, if you really want to understand what Simple Notice is, it's basically, well, technically it's your NF form, but in the form of a tool. So basically we took the NF form and we created a tool out of it. So whatever you can do with your NF form, usually you're going to be able to do the same thing in Simple Notice. So it all started because some brokers wanted to have a tool that could save them the trouble of going through a bailiff or the telegram. So that's why. So it all started for the 72-hour notice. But as we created the tool, we figured out why not put all the notices that you can send in the same tool. So maybe it's easier now for you to understand what Simple Notice is. We're going to see how it works, but keep in mind that it's your NF form, but in a tool. So quick reminder about notices. Well, you know why we send out notices. So it's because many conditions and clauses require the expedition of written notices. So just a quick reminder, but you guys already know that. So the written notices, they must be sent within a predetermined time frame, with or without an attachment. So it can be an inspection report, a proof of financing, or other types of proof or confirmation. And those written notices must be received by the recipient in order for a clause or condition to take effect, for a promise to purchase to be rendered null and void, or for time limits to be triggered for one or more other conditions, like the 72-hour notice. In all cases, what's really important to remember is that you absolutely need proof of sending and reception. Okay, so we're going to see later that the emails are going to be the proof. Okay, that's how you're going to receive the notices, and everyone's going to receive a confirmation, and that will be your proof. So without Simple Notice, the only definitive proof that notices have reached their recipients in their prescribed form or time limit is the recipient's participation by signing a form or acknowledgement of receipt, and the use of a legally recognized service for the expedition of notices, like the telegram or the bailiff, like I said before. However, these methods depend on the effectiveness of the participants in the transaction, the availability and cooperation of the recipients, and the availability and accessibility of transmission services. But with Simple Notice, which is available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and most of all, there are no delays and no fees. Okay, so it doesn't cost anything to use Simple Notice. It's already in your tools, like all the Centris tools. You have it in your tool bundle, if you might. And what's needed for Simple Notice to work is the participation of the listing and collaborating brokers, and also the acceptance by both parties, so buyers and sellers, that their notices will be sent or received via Simple Notice. So that's important to remember too. If you want Simple Notice to work, if you want to use it, everyone needs to participate in Simple Notice. We're not forcing anyone to do so. If ever you have clients who don't want to use it, or the broker you're doing business with doesn't want to use Simple Notice, that's fine. You can always go back to your NF form, which is totally valid too, of course. But for simple notice to work, to be able to send out a notice via simple notice, everyone needs to confirm their participation. Okay? So, what are the advantages of using simple notice? Well, most of all, it's free, as you can see in the big blue circle right here. Also, it reduces delays caused by the lengthy procedures or the opening hours of traditional methods, like the bailiffs, let's say. It also eliminates the fees for bailiff services or telegram. It replaces the NF form, like I said before. It ensures the transmission of information to all parties. It provides a confirmation of delivery to all parties upon successful delivery of the notice. So like I said before, that's going to be your proof. So everyone's going to know that the notice was sent out and received. And finally, the notice can be filed in your EDM as proof of expedition. So we'll see that the final notice will be in a PDF format, so you can download it either from your email or directly from Simple Notice in the tool. And then you can file it however you want to file it. So if you're using an EDM or just on your computer, you want to print it out, that's going to work out too. So these are the advantages of using Simple Notice, but most of all, it allows you to send notices from the comfort of your home, so you don't have to move. So this is the big, complicated looking process, but I assure you it's not that complicated. Technically, that's what we're going to do today. So what you see here is in purple, you have the brokerage process. And in blue, you see where simple notice inserts itself throughout the brokerage process. So what you have here, you don't have to read anything, don't worry. It's basically all the steps from the listing broker and the collaborating broker. So that's what we're going to do today in the demonstration, but you see it's really not that complicated. Actually, I've created a simplified process, so it's a bit less scary, I hope. So these are the steps that we're going to do today, and these are the steps required to be able to send a notice. So first of all, the first step is activating the sellers. And I have to let you know that the whole process always starts from the listing broker. Okay, for now, only the listing broker can start the whole process. Maybe one day the collaborating broker will be able to, but for now, only the listing broker can start the process. So their first step will be to activate their sellers. Then, when the sellers confirm their participation to simple notice, you will receive an accepted promise to purchase that you will create linked to the listing in simple notice. And then you're going to be able to add the collaborating broker or brokers. So those are the first three steps that the listing broker has to do. And then once the collaborating broker is identified, we're going to see that they receive an email letting them know that they were identified as the collaborating broker for that listing and the promise to purchase. And the collaborating broker will have to activate their buyers, and that's it. And then once all the four first steps are done, then you can create and send a notice. So like I said, the whole process starts with the listing broker. But once everyone is activated and everyone confirmed their participation, then both collaborating brokers and listing brokers can send a notice. Okay, so anyone can send a notice, but the simple notice process has to start with the listing broker. Also, I'm just going to come back real quick. Also, if you, before I forget, if you are both the listing broker and the collaborating broker, it works too. Okay, you're only going to have to add yourself as the collaborating broker. So if ever you represent both parties, so the buyers and the sellers, you can use simple notice and you're going to send yourself notices and your clients. Okay, so we're going to go real quick through the interface. I know that it's a bit small. It's going to be much better when I do the demonstration. It's just to walk you guys through the tool before we actually do the demonstration. So you have here the home screen. So only 3 buttons. So my listings, my accepted promises to purchase, and my notices. So if ever after this training you want to go in Simple Notice, you're going to see that all of your active listings are already in Simple Notice. and you will be able to activate your sellers if it's not already done. So this is your home screen. Then, when you're the listing broker, like I said, you have two ways to activate your sellers. So first, you can do it directly in the broker loading system. So you need that you see that there's a new box at the bottom of that page where you can click yes or no in order to say if your sellers want to participate. If you click yes, you absolutely need to put in an email or else it won't work, because they need to receive the confirmation email. And anyway, you need an email for Simple Notice to work, sorry. The cell phone is there too, and like I said, it's optional because the notices will be sent out via email. The cell phone text messages, they're just there to notify your clients. So if ever you put in the cell phone, what's going to happen is that they're going to receive a text message telling them that they received an email from Simple Notice, so that they have to check their inbox. So that's why email is mandatory. Like I said, a valid email address, and cell phone is optional. If ever you have two sellers, usually happens with older couples, let's say, and they have the same email address, that happens. That's okay too. You can just put in the same email address twice, and they're both going to receive an email addressed to one another in the same inbox. So that's okay. You can put in the same email twice. If you click yes, right now in the broker loading system, just make sure that you previously talked to your clients about Simple Notice, because if you didn't talk to them about it, they're going to receive the email, they might call you, maybe they're going to have some questions about what it is. So just make sure that you tell them beforehand. If ever you're not sure if they want to participate or not, it's fine. You can either click no, or you can just not click anything. And what's going to happen is that you can go back into the tool in Simple Notice and activate your sellers directly in the tool, which is the other way to activate your sellers. And that's what we're going to do today, because of course I cannot create a new listing to show you. But if you're not sure, like I said, you forgot to click yes or no, don't worry, because like I said, all of your listings, your active listings, will be in Simple Notice, and you can always go back and activate your sellers. So you see at the bottom of the page here, you have the sellers box, and that's where you're going to be able to activate them with the edit button. So that's what we're going to do, because that's our first step in the demonstration. So, sorry. The creation of the accepted promise to purchase. I know that it is small. We're going to be able to see it better later, I promise. So that's the screen you're going to see when you put in the number of the promise to purchase. So you can choose what type of promise to purchase and then just put in the number. You don't need to add a file or anything. Just put in the number of the accepted promise to purchase. You could add more than one promise to purchase for each listing, of course, but you're going to have to do it one by one. Like, you cannot simultaneously add more than one. So you can add more than one, but it's going to be one at a time. Then, once the promise to purchase is created, like I said, the collaborating broker or brokers will receive an email, and then they're going to have to go add their buyers. So this is the form that's what it looks like. So it's pretty easy. It's first name, last name, cell phone, email, and the language that you can choose. When everyone confirmed their participation, then, and if you need to send out a notice, of course, then you can create the notice. So either you're the collaborating broker or listing broker, you can send a notice. So this is what it's going to look like. So you see that all the notices that you have in your NF form, you're going to find them there. And the ones that are in blue are the ones that you're going to be able to send, whether you're a listing broker or collaborating broker. So now we see the screen as a collaborating broker. So the ones that are grayed out won't be clickable, but all of the blue ones are the ones that you can send. You can work on behalf of a team member. So for brokers working in the team, with broker colleagues or agency executive officers, it's possible to work on behalf of another member of the team. So you're gonna have to click the button that you see at the top of the screen there in red, and you can work on behalf of someone else, or someone can work on your behalf. If it's other brokers or your agency executive officer, they can do everything for you in simple notice. So they can activate sellers or buyers, they can create promises to purchase, and they can send notices. But your admin staff, so your administrative staff, they can do everything but send a notice, because it's still a brokerage act and only brokers can send notices. So that's it for that. And finally, you can manage your email contact reception profile. So you can decide that you want to receive email contacts to notify you that you received an email from Simple Notice. So you're going to receive the email, you're going to receive a text message letting you know, and if you really want to make sure that you're not missing it, you can decide that you want to receive an email contact notification letting you know that you've received an email from Simple Notice. So you only have to go in your reception profile, click on email, and then activate Simple Notice at the bottom of the page like you see on the screen. I think that by default it's already activated, so if you want to deactivate it, it's the same thing. So after this training, you can go ahead and look in your email contact to see if it's activated or not, and you can keep it activated or deactivate it as you wish. So there you go. So that was the presentation on Simple Notice, to explain to you guys what the tool is. So like I said, a few things that you need to remember is that in order for Simple Notice to work, everyone has to participate, and the process always starts with the listing broker, and the buyers and the sellers need to have valid email addresses. You have two ways to access Simple Notice. So first of all, maybe it's already in your favorites, maybe, or you can put it in your favorites like I did here. So you're gonna see that anytime you hover over a tool, you're gonna see three little dots right here. So when you click on them, you can either access the tool or access the toolkit. And before showing you the tool, I'm gonna show you the toolkit, but right before, I'm just gonna quickly show you, for those of you who didn't change their favorites, it's possible to do so by clicking edit. You can add, you can remove some, you can switch them if you want to, you can remove like this, and you can add more tools. So maybe most of you know about that. So you can just select the tools that you want to put in your favorites. But we have something that's kind of new, and which is pretty fun too. You can now add an external link in your favorites. So you just need to click on the button and then put in the title and your website. So if ever there's a website that you go on very, very often, like, I don't know, your own website or the centres.ca website or the OSAQ website, wherever, you can put external links now. So that's pretty cool. So I just wanted to show you guys real quick. I'm just going to click save and then close. So first way, via your favorites. The other way to access the tool is by clicking on the tools category in the menu, sorry. And then we're gonna find Simple Notice. That's right here. So you can, again, either access the tool or go to the toolkit, which is what I'm gonna do. So, and by the way, every tool that we have, they all have their own page like that. Okay, they all have their toolkit. So if ever you want to see the same thing, but for other tools, always going to be the same place. So first of all, you have the webinars. So if ever you want to follow it again, or you want your colleagues to follow the webinar, they can register via the webinar section right here. And you have the tutorials. So if ever you later on go into Simple Notice and you have questions about it, something, and for some reason the help desk is closed because it's super late at night, you can always watch tutorials. So we broke down the presentation I'm doing today into small tutorials. It's not, I didn't do them, but you understand the concept. It's the same content, but broken down into small, quick videos. So there you have it. You have the tutorials and the webinars, but what I really wanted to show you is here. You see the resources button. If I click on it, it's going to open a PDF. So, okay. And you have resources for brokers and for your clients. So if ever you want the other brokers in your agency to know what is simple notice, you could always print out or send the brochure. So it explains to the brokers how it works. You see the steps like we saw before. What are the advantages, everything related to simple notice. So you have that. You have it for your clients too, of course. But what's really cool about this is the frequently, sorry, I always have trouble with that word. So the FAQ, basically frequently asked questions for clients. So if you click there, it's all the questions that your clients might have regarding simple notice with all the answers that we've already written down for you. So it can be pretty helpful. Okay, so they're there. If ever you need them, I'm just going to close it. And so it's the resources button right here. So now we're going to be able to start the demonstration, and I'm going to show you guys how it works. We're going to do the whole process. So starting from the listing broker point of view, then going on to the collaborating broker, and then we will send a notice and we will see all of the emails received by everyone throughout the process. Okay. So if I wanted to access the tool, like I said, you could click on access tool right here. Me, I can't because I have to go in the training environment. So basically you're going to have the same exact thing minus this beautiful banner right here. And you're going to have the button for personifying a team member. That's going to be right there. So I've logged in as the listing broker. And so the first step is going to be activating the seller. So I'm going to click on my listings. And you see here that I have some that are already done from previous trainings. So when we're done with our listing today, it's going to look like this. So all the buttons here will be clickable. It's going to be enabled and everything. So I chose this one right here for you guys today because I'm sorry, I'm drinking water because it's my second training today. So I took this one because there's only one seller to activate. If ever you have two sellers, well, both are going to appear. Like if I click, and I think this one has two. If I click on this one, see here at the bottom, you have two sellers. Okay, so you would have to put in both their information and both would have to validate their participation in order for you to be able to create the promise to purchase after that. Okay, so if you have two sellers, both of them need to participate. Same thing for the sellers. So I'm just going to go back into my listings. I'm going to take this one here on Metropolitain. I'm going to click on seller. And to activate them, I'm going to click here on edit at the bottom. And you see the last name, the name, the role, the language you can change. I could switch it to French if I wanted to. It's going to impact the emails that they're going to receive. And so today I'm going to put in their email only. You're going to see that I'm using fake inboxes, which is called Yotmail. It's really not super good looking. We have some little difficulties sometimes, but it's easier for me to use fake inboxes instead of like logging in and logging back, you know, and so I just want to be able to show you what everyone receives. So I'm using fake inboxes, that's why. So I've put in the email, which is mandatory, like I said. I'm not going to put in the cell phone today because anyway, there's no way for me to show you how what the text message is going to look like, but you could put in the cell phone. Again, it's optional and it's only to notify your seller that they received an email. So once the email is there, I'm going to click save. And it tells me that the seller's email address has been modified, or, well, we say modified, but you understand that it's just new. We just added it. A confirmation will be sent to the seller to validate. The related listing will be inactive in simple notice until the seller validates the email address. So we're going to click send email. There you go. There. So it brings you back to your listing. And you can see now that it's still not active because they didn't confirm anything. And you see at the bottom here, if ever they tell you, I deleted my email, or I didn't receive it, or whatever, you can always resend it. Okay, so you go back into your listing and you resend your email. So now that it's sent, I'm going to go into my seller's inbox. There you go. And we've received the activation of your simple notice profile for the address of the listing right here. You see here it says spam. It's not going to say spam in case someone points it out. It's only because I'm using my good friend Yotmail here. Okay, but in real life, in real inboxes, it's not going to say spam, of course. So this is the email that the seller will receive. So congratulations on having entrusted the sale of your property to your broker. Now we're like a lot of brokers today, but only me. And then it explains what simple notice is, and it gives out important information. Like it tells them that by agreeing to activate simple notice, they express their consent to receive official notices by email and optionally by text message. They need to remain attentive to emails from simple notice as they could contain important information. It reminds them that their contact information is only visible to them and their broker, and is in no way visible to the other party or their brokers. So before you ask me, it's going to be like that all the time. So as a broker, you're going to see your information, your client's information, but you're never going to see the other party's information. So we're going to see later on the notice, or even when we send out the notice, we have the sending list. So we know that everyone who's going to receive the email, but you're always only going to see your info and your client's info, never the other party's info, whether you're listing or collaborating. Okay, so just I know that's important. Just want to make sure you guys got that. So and finally, it just says that the system can be only used if all the parties of the transaction activate simple notice. They only need to click on the button right here, but I just want to show you real quick. You have here, they have in the email the fact sheet and the FAQ, like I showed you before in the resources. So if ever you forgot to send it to them, well, they're going to have them. They're going to have the documents right here in the email. So the seller needs to just click here on the button, and there you go. So it says, thank you for confirming. It's confirmed. And now we can go back to our listing. And if I refresh it, you see that now it's active because it's green and it's checked. So we know that our seller confirmed their participation. So that was the first step. And see, it usually takes like 30 seconds. Now I'm taking the time to really go through the steps one by one with you guys. So we activated our sellers. Second step is creating the accepted promise to purchase, because let's say we received one right now. So I'm just going to click, I'm going to find my listing, and you see I now have the button here that's clickable. So I cannot add a promise to purchase before the seller activated, okay? Because it's going to look like this. We're only going to have the seller. So now that it's activated, I'm going to click on promise to purchase. And that's where you add your promise to purchase number, like we saw in the presentation. So here you choose what type of promise to purchase it is, and then you just put in your numbers. So as you can see, there's no need to add a file. You don't need to upload anything. It's really just the type of promise to purchase and the number. You could also add it manually right here. If you want to add more than one, like I said, it's possible, just not simultaneously. So you're going to have to create the new accepted promise to purchase, then identify the collaborating brokers, and then you'd have to go back into your listing, click again on add promise to purchase, and do it all over. Okay. So So I'm gonna click next. So this is just to validate that it's okay, we're good, we have all the information. We can click next. And this is where you add your collaborating brokers. So you can either add, you can either click on the big plus button here or the add button. And this will, this is like a database, so you just have to start writing the name of your collaborating broker, and it's a bit like the member directory that you have in your tools. So every broker that is a member of Centris, that uses Centris, will be in that database. So you should find them easily. If ever you're doing business with a broker that doesn't use Centris or isn't a member of the association or anything, well, there you won't be able to find them. So you won't be able to use Simple Notice. So Simple Notice doesn't work for pocket listings, let's say. Okay. So me today, I want to find collaborating broker 17. So I have it here. I'm just going to click on it. And then you can validate if it's the right person. You have their information. If not, you can always go back and search again. But I know that this is the right collaborating broker, so I'm going to click add. I could add more than one, of course, but just for the sake of the training, it's going to be quicker if I just add one. So I've added my collaborating broker. I'm going to click next. And the last thing I have to do as the listing broker is click on create accepted promise to purchase, and then I'm done. So you see that it's really not that long. So there you go, we're going to create. And it says to complete the creation of your accepted promise to purchase, an email will be sent to all collaborating brokers involved in the transaction, inviting them to enter the information about the buyers. So we're going to confirm by clicking send. There you go. So it's going to bring us back to the home page. So as the listing broker, our job is done. We just need that the collaborating broker activate their buyers. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to go in my listing brokers inbox, collaborating broker, sorry. So I rename my tab. So here. So that's the email that you're going to receive as a collaborating broker. Tells you that you have been identified in Simple Notice for the following property with the promise to purchase number. So all you need to do is click here to enter the information about your buying clients or buyers. So I'm going to click here. I'm just going to have to log in as the collaborating broker. And it's going to bring me directly on the promise to purchase, okay, that the listing broker created. So we know we're at the right place. And so all we need to do is just add our buyers. So we're going to click add right here. Same as before, like we saw with the collaborating brokers, same ways. So I'm going to click on the big plus sign, and this is the form that you need to fill in. So I'm going to call them buyer Lincoln, I guess. And it's going to be buyer 17 at yahoo.com. Once again, I'm not going to put in the cell phone, but that's where you would put it. So everything's good. I'm going to click add. And if I had more than one buyers, of course, I would just click add again or the big plus button and add all the buyers of the transaction. So only one is good for today. I'm going to click next. And that's it. As the collaborating broker, you're done. You just need to finalize the accepted promise to purchase and wait for your buyer to accept. Okay, so we're just going to click here. And again, it says an email and text message will be sent to all buyers involved in the transaction. We're going to confirm by clicking send. There you go. And it's going to bring me back to my home page. Close this. And I'm going to go into my buyer's inbox. There you go. So the buyer receives the exact same email that the seller received before. So I'm not going to go through the email again because we just saw it, but the same information are there with the same documents, and everything they need to know. So what they need to do is just click on the button again, and ta-da, it's done. So now everyone is activated. Before going back into simple notice, I just want to show you that the brokers are going to receive an email that tells them that all parties are activated. So you're going to receive an email from Simple Notice letting you know that all parties are activated and it is now possible to send a notice. Okay, so you don't have to always go back into your Simple Notice tool and refresh just to see if it's activated. You're gonna receive an email. Okay, so this is the email again. So we're gonna go back into Simple Notice and I'm gonna log in again as the listing broker, just because we started with them. So we're gonna keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into my listings just to show you that now for Metropolitain, you see here that the third button is now clickable, so you can see your promise to purchase and you will be able to send a notice. So you see that there's a little 1 between the parentheses. That's because there's only 1 promise to purchase that was added to that listing. If you had added like 3 promises to purchase, you would see 3 right here, and then you would have to click on see promises to purchase and choose which one you want to send a notice. Okay, so we're going to click on see promise to purchase and we see that it's active. It's a good one. We only have 1 anyway, and we will be able to send a notice, to create a notice and send it. So I'm going to click on plus notice. And here you have all your notices. So they're exactly the same notices that you have in your NF form. So if I take the first one, let's say you see it's already pre-filled. All you need to fill out is what you would usually fill out in your NF form. Okay, so they're all there. Here we go, yeah, that one. Today we're going to send a 72-hour notice, but I just wanted to show you before. You have the 5.0 right here, which is the other. So you can, if you have special clauses or special conditions, you can actually write your special clause, okay, or whatever you need to write to put in. So that's possible. And for certain notices, you're going to be able to add a file. Okay, so whenever you're allowed to, well, you're allowed. The notice can require to add a file. It'll be possible, so you just need to click on the button and then it's going to open up the dialog box and you will be able to choose the document from your computer and add it in your notice. Okay, so if ever we were the collaborating broker and we wanted to send the follow-up after the building inspection, we would be able to add the inspection report, let's say. Okay, but for today we're going to send out a 72-hour notice because it's the most common one. I'm going to click here and then I'm going to click next. And now you have the summary. So you have the Centris number and the address. You have the sending lists. So you see as the seller, you see your client's info. You see all of your info, but you don't see the buyers or collaborating brokers information. Okay, so it's always going to be like that. When I told you before that you can never see the other party's information, it's going to be that way. So if ever I was the collaborating broker now, I would see my section here, my buyers section. I would see the info, but I would not see anything up here. Well, I would see the names, but I wouldn't see the email or cell phones. Okay, so it never, in no way will the information be shared with the other party. So you have the sending list, like I said, and you have the notice at the bottom. And then you can send it. You have 2 ways, 2 choices. So you either send now or send with approval. Sending now means that
if I click on send now, it's gonna send to everyone right now. Like it just, you know, it says it. So everyone will receive it. And you can also send with approval. So if ever it is not time sensitive, like a 72-hour notice, let's say, that you would send now, like we're gonna do today, we could send with approval. So that means that your client would receive the notice before, and then they would approve in the email, and then the notice would be sent out. Okay, then you can send out the notice. When it's approved, you come back and then you send it out. So it really depends. It's up to you, and it's between you and your client. If they want to see the notice, well, you can send it with approval. And if they trust you and they don't want to see it, or they don't need to see it, or it is time sensitive, like a 72-hour notice, you can just click now. So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to click send now. And it tells me that the notice will be sent by email to all parties involved. So I click send. And now it usually takes a little, like 5-8 seconds. There you go. So, sorry, it says check your email within the next 2 hours to receive confirmation that this notice was delivered to all parties. So if you remember at the beginning, I told you we need proof, okay? And the proof will be your confirmation email. So that's the email that everyone receives. Like we'll see right now that the buyer and the collaborating broker will receive a first email with a preliminary notice, which is not the final notice, because the confirmation is not there yet. The confirmation is a way for us to make sure that everyone receives the email, and that's your proof, and that's the final notice. But like I said, one party can receive like kind of a heads up, like you've received this email, but this morning it didn't work properly, but I'm going to show you why it's preliminary and not final, okay? And it says the next 2 hours. It never takes 2 hours. Like it happened to me once, but there was something in the training environment, but it's like a regular email. It's going to send in a few seconds or a few minutes tops. It's just that we want to make sure that everyone received it. And let's say you have a client who lives really far in the forest and their Wi-Fi is not good. I don't know. It can take it a bit longer. So that's why we have this 2 hour buffer. But it usually takes like a few minutes, and that's why I'm telling you all that now, just so I make sure that the email is delivered. So I'm gonna click OK. And see, it's going to bring me to my sending reports, so I can know if the email was delivered to my buyer. Okay, and I can also resend the email to my listing brokers or my seller. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go into the buyer's inbox, just so I can see the first email that they received. You see here, it says you received a notice from all the listing brokers for the promise to purchase, for the address, and then you have the notice, of course. So all the info is there. And it says click here to see the document. So it says, well, it's in French, but it's preliminary notice. And if I click on it, just want to show you, I really hope it opens. Okay. Before it did not want to. Okay, well, it doesn't want to. Okay, it doesn't matter. So the difference between the preliminary notice and the confirmation notice is that this one, you're going to see that there's no date and time, so it's not official. It's not the final notice. If we go into, let's say, the collaborating broker, the collaborating broker's inbox, look, if I look at the first message that he received, it's the 72-hour notice for the listing. And you see here, date, there's no date and time. That's why it's preliminary. Everyone needs to wait for the confirmation of notice. And in the confirmation of notice, you're going to have the PDF of the notice with the right date and the right time. Okay, so see, now I'm in my collaborating broker's email. And the last message I received is confirmation of notice deliveries for all parties. So everyone, this email confirms the delivery notice of the notice to all parties. Okay, so the collaborating broker received it. If I go back here, you see that the buyer received it too. If I go into the listing broker's inbox, they received it too, the confirmation, and finally the seller received the confirmation of delivery. So that's your proof, okay? You don't have to open the email. It doesn't matter if you open it or not, as long as it's in your inbox, that's the proof, okay, that the notice was sent. So even if your client says, well, I didn't open it or whatever, I didn't know, doesn't matter. It's like when you use a bailiff service. If the bailiff comes to knock at your door and you don't want to answer, well, they're still going to leave the notice with a time and date on it, you know. So if ever you open your door or not, the notice takes effect. So it's exactly the same thing. So with simple notice, it's only the deposit of the email in the inbox. That's how we know. That's how we confirm. Okay. So now in Yotmail, it doesn't want to let me open the PDFs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into simple notice to show you. If I go into simple notice and I go into my notices, see here, you always have access to your notices, but I want to show you the final notice. So what you need to do is just, you're in your sending report. We were there. I just wanted to show you how to access it via my notices. So you click here on the printer notice PDF and you select, well, right now it's going to be the seller's one because we're the listing broker. And see here, that's the notice, okay? So the preliminary notice that I wanted to show you didn't have a date and time, okay? So what the buyer received would be that same thing minus the date and time, so it's not the official one. But once it's confirmed, well, now the notice is final and legal and takes effect. So our 72-hour would start at 2:12 p.m. on May 28th. Okay, so you have the exact same information, and that's your notice. So you can either download it or print it out or file it however you want. But basically, that's what it's going to look like. So the PDF that I'm not able to open here, that's what you have. Okay, that's the PDF. Okay, that's the notice. And as a broker, you can always go back into simple notice and download your notice if ever you deleted it by accident or you misplaced it. I don't know. It's always going to be in simple notice. So there you go. We did the whole process of simple notice. We took all the steps. So if I go back into my presentation, just as a quick reminder, I click here. So what we did today, we activated the sellers as the listing broker. We then created the accepted promise of purchase, and then we added the collaborating broker, which in turn, they activated the buyers. And once everyone confirmed, because I remind you that everyone needs to confirm their participation for a simple notice to work, then we were able to create and send a notice. And today we sent a 72-hour notice.